Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network, a division of the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network. The following program broadcast is an original creation by the broadcast entity. Discussion within the following broadcast should be used for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice or consultation. Before considering application of any broadcast content in the following program, please consult your healthcare provider. If you feel you are having a medical emergency, please contact your local health services for immediate assistance. MS&Me Media and the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network do not guarantee or warrant the accuracy of information in the broadcast to follow. The Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network provisions broadcast services to program hosts. Information discussed in the broadcast does not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or goals of the network and are solely those of the show broadcast host. Should you wish to host a broadcast, please visit our website at msmemedia.com and submit a request to become a program host. We thank you for listening to the MS&Me Radio Network. Enjoy the show.
What is up, everyone? I'm Chris Carter. Welcome to MS Champion Radio. Hope everybody is having a wonderful day. And today's topic is going to be insensitivity. And I wanted to talk about this because I do experience this. Well, I have been experiencing this a little bit, and I just want to, touch on it and, tell everybody that, again, as I always say, it's going to be all right. But I just want to tell everybody, show and explain my situation and how I go about it and how I handle it. So, first things first, when you have MS, emotions play a huge part in basically almost any and everything. Any little thing that someone says to you or does to you, it's gonna affect you even more now that you have now that you knowingly have this illness. It can kind of really put your emotions on a certain kind of high, which is not always the most healthiest thing. And so what I have found with myself, and something that I've had to learn to admit to, and something I'm still learning to accept, is that I'm now a lot more sensitive because of this disease. And I also believe that it's the medication as well, because a lot, like, medication does something to any and everybody's going to have some kind of effect. Sometimes it doesn't, but with me, I'm noticing that I get very sensitive and very sad very easily now that since I've been on Tysabri and since I've been taking my regular medication that I'm supposed to take every day. And so I do notice that, if somebody says something to me, or if I even watch a movie or something that's very sad or has a sad moment, I'm like getting kind of teary-eyed, and that never used to happen with me. It takes a lot for me to break down in tears and, just really show a sensitive side of myself. And now it's kind of happening a little bit more than it ever used to. And I know it's all because of MS. And when I went to go see a doctor to get a second opinion about, when I had some more questions about Tysabri, I did ask him, I've realized within my emotions, I'm a lot more sensitive. And he did say, yes, that is all a part of MS, and I was when he confirmed that, it kind of was like, I had a sigh moment, because I was starting to wonder, like, I'm not falling into depression or anything. I don't know why I'm just so sensitive all of a sudden, like, so I did ask, and he confirmed it for me. So that, like I said, that was like kind of like a sigh and a relief a little bit, to know that it's normal, it's okay. He gave me a little book, about emotions and dealing with that when you have MS, and it came in handy and it helped. So going into insensitivity, so when it comes to insensitivity and people not realizing what they say when you have MS is going to affect you, and it's going to stay with you either for the rest of your life, or, you're going to think about it for a long period of time. That to me is a part of insensitivity, because when you're battling with this illness, every day of your life, every day is a struggle, and when you're battling with it, you don't want anything else to trigger a flare up. You don't want anything else coming in the way of your happiness, especially when all you want to be is happy from the day you've been diagnosed till you know, just from that point on, all you want to do is be happy, live your life the best way you can, because this illness, it's a forever thing. We have to live with this. And certain things being said to us, certain things that are done, it just stays and it sticks. And it's not our fault that we have this disease. We don't know what God is going to do. We don't know what is going to be in our future. So when it comes down to it, we have to, as I always state, we have to make sure that we're surrounding ourselves with nothing but positivity. And from recent experience, someone I've been dealing with someone who's been, somewhat very insensitive to my condition. When, I've always been that person who remembers. Basically, if you say something to me, I'll basically remember it forever, no matter it. And sometimes I may not say whether it hurt my feelings, whether it did this to me or it did that, but I'll, 9 times out of 10, I'll remember that. And so when this certain person brings this topic to me, and I'm just like, I'm caught in the middle of not trying to argue, because I don't want to trigger a flare up. I don't want to trigger my emotions. Then they are already triggered automatically because of my illness. So it's that already puts me on edge when it comes to that. And two, I need this person to realize I don't want any more stress. So why are you bringing this to my attention? And then I'm going to say this: what I do in my personal life has nothing to do with anyone else. So, and now that I knowingly have MS, what I do in my personal life, I watch what I do. I watch everything that I say, and I'm serious, because I don't want anything, and I try my best. This is the God's honest truth. I try my best to watch what I do, watch what I say, everything, because I don't want anything to start affecting my health more than it's already being affected. And so when certain things are said to me, and then not only when they're said to me, but they've been said to me throughout since I've been diagnosed, and I haven't really said anything, because I do know, like I said, arguing stress, that can bring on more symptoms. Well, I don't know what more symptoms I could end up having, but like I said, I don't want to trigger a flare up or anything. So why would I just question, why would you want to bring more stress to me than I already have? That's very insensitive, because if someone else I knew and loved, supposed to love dearly, is battling with an illness, why would I want to bring something to their attention when I know this is a sensitive topic for them? When I know it hits home, when I know, and be honest with you, and I'm talking about this other person, and I'm just saying, this is how I feel. I wasn't there for them when I needed them to be there for them during those times when you were called names, and it just starts to play in the back of my mind, and it plays over and over and over, and I'm just like, okay, how am I going to go about this situation? And this is something else that I want to speak on, because I'm going to get onto that, like going about the situation and making sure that you handle it appropriately, and just never feeding into ignorance. And so when dealing with that really put in that day that I had to deal with that, it really put me in a sad state of mind, because I'm like, not one, just thinking about it, I have to get up every day and battle with this illness. You don't think that's enough for me? So, and I get up, I go to school. I'm trying my best out here in this world, and this is not an easy world to live in when there's other things out here, especially you're worried about what someone does in their personal life, what I'm doing, but you could be worried about, oh, what is the organization doing this weekend? How can we donate? What can we do? What's the next walk that's going to come up? It's so many other things in this world that we can worry about, but a lot of people choose to worry about the wrong things. And I'm not saying this just to be saying it. This is the truth. And so when certain topics come up, that's the first thing I think about. And I'm like, I just want to be happy, point blank, period. And and going back with this person, I'm going to tell this story, which I've I since it happened, I never really wanted, I'm going to be honest. I didn't really want to speak about it, but I'm going to speak about it. I feel like I had an argument in January, at the end, right in January, towards the end of January, with someone, with a family member, and it was a very big argument. And I had never spoken to this family member like this before in that tone, but I just kept hearing the same things about what I was doing in my personal life regarding to who I was seeing, who I'm dating, and things of that nature. And that really started to bother me. So we got in a huge argument. And mind you, in January, the only symptom I was having was my vision was gone, and the left side of my face was completely numb, and my lip, and basically that's a part of my left side of my face. So, but right after that, I started falling. I started getting all that pain, all that inflammation was building up. Everything, all of my symptoms were starting to come. And I knew for a fact, when I really sat down and I spoke to God about it, and when I talked to myself about it, because I had to come to terms with it with myself, I said, I believe that argument, I don't believe the argument triggered MS, but I believe that big argument and that stress, because right after that argument, I really started worrying about me and this person's relationship being tarnished for the rest of my life. And I started worrying about that daily. And that's when I'm like, I know for a fact, no matter what, that argument is what led to that stress level and what brought on the rest of those symptoms. I know that. And just going back and reflecting, I chose to make a decision to not ever give someone that kind of power ever again, because I know what it can do to my health. I've seen it literally, and I've been on the inside of it, and that's what happened. And look at the situation now, and I have to deal with all this chronic pain, my headaches, everything from symptom to symptom, day to day. Though I get my days of relief, but when I'm having my days of relief, I don't want to have to be sad because someone is saying something to me. That's just not fair to myself. I'm not out here bothering anybody else. I have to worry about what's going to be right for me. I don't have time to ask anybody else any questions. I have to worry about, if is my leg going to work okay? Am I going to have that pounding, excruciating headache that I always get? Is my dizziness going to return? Just every symptom that I have to deal with, and someone else is worried about the little things that happen. And I'm going to talk about this in another segment, but I was in the emergency room literally 2 days before that, and because of my MS. And it's like, okay, so what are you really concerned about? Are you concerned about my personal life more? and a sensitive topic that I don't like talking about, that you've always attacked me for? Or are you more concerned that, or are you going to be concerned that I just got out the hospital and I'm not feeling well? That I just had a, you know, it's just little things like that that make me, as I spoke about in a previous segment, that makes me distance myself from people because of the insensitivity. I just can't stand it and I just don't like it, and I'm going to say this, I'm not going to tolerate it. I'm going to put my foot down 100% when it comes to insensitivity. If you don't understand, if you can't understand, and listen to me, my fellow MS brothers and sisters, if they can't understand it, you don't force them to understand it. You move away from the situation. You back away from the situation. You don't have to tolerate something. Anything that's not going to benefit you in a positive way, especially when you have a condition, get out of the situation. You have no room to be stressed. We have no room to be stressed, to be angry, to deal with any type of insensitivity. We deal with our emotional state enough. Our physical state is tarnished. Our nervous system is damaged. So we don't want relationships with people to be damaged as well. Let life go smoothly for us. And that's all that I want. I want my life to go smoothly. I don't want to have to cut off people, especially family members, when family is supposed to be the one there for us. That's not a great feeling, and I don't like feeling down when MS already brings me down physically and emotionally. And when you're surrounded with people who have that kind of ignorance within them, it makes it harder for us. And I refuse to tolerate it. I refuse to. So what I've learned to do is, and this is how I go about the situation, I pray, I move on about my day, but I know for a fact, me and this person, we can no longer have a good relationship. So I need to start slowly but surely backing myself away from this situation. They want to know why. I can explain it to them. You can explain it to them. But at the end of the day, it's for my benefit. And I have to do what's best for me. Point blank, period. And it's never not, since I've been diagnosed, not going to be a time where I'm not going to think about the outcome of my health. I'm sorry to say, people can say, you're going to use that every time. Yes, I'm going to use it every time. If I'm going to go to a job interview, for example, or just anything, I have to realize, is this the kind of job that all jobs can be stressful, but how stressful can this job get? Is it fast? Is it a fast-paced job where I have to learn a whole bunch of things where I know at the moment I'm not really capable of jumbling a lot of things in my mind? That's not going to be the job for me. So I have to respectfully decline and go seek the other job. It's the same scenario. Same scenario. So I'm just going to make sure that positivity is all the way around in my life. Everybody who I know has good aura, has good intentions, and is not out to worry about what I'm doing in my personal life. And I'm not doing anything to harm anybody in my personal life. So that should be out of the question. And let me talk about this as well. As I already said, stress and arguing is what causes the flare-ups. And so when you start to feel that flare-up, and when you start to feel that pain, and then you're kind of gonna feel stuck. Because I remember in January, when someone who knew about this argument said, this person is kind of stressing you over that situation, and so now look what's kind of happening. And I'm like, even this person sees what's just happened, but I know I can't bring it to, I'm sorry to keep saying this person, but I do want to keep this kind of confidential. And it's just gonna be that's just what it's gonna be. And I had to really, really let it sink in that I let this person get the best of me in that way. As I said before, I promised myself I would never let that happen again. And as a champion, as a warrior, and to my fellow warriors and champions, when it all is said and done, we're in control of our lives, you know. And insensitivity is not something that comes with the package, you know. It's not something that we have to tolerate, you know. And even when you're trying your best to not be a burden on someone, when you're trying to stay out of the way, because that's what I can't, I'm not saying like, this person makes me feel like a burden, but with this illness, sometimes you can feel like this can be a lot on someone, and I never want that to be the situation. And so when, like I said before, I don't want to kind of keep repeating myself, but this is kind of, this is just what I'm going to say. I go to school and I'm going to get my education. That's what I'm focused on. I don't want the negative to be focused on. You know, let's focus on the positive. Wow, Chris still gets up and fights this disease and goes to school and sits through that pain, deals with what he has to deal with. You know, I couldn't be more proud of you, Chris. Where's that? You know, I don't want to hear this, which I've heard from you so many times before, over and over and over and over. And like I said before, the insensitivity, it has to stop. And it doesn't make us people dealing with this illness feel any better. Though I'm not saying, and I want to say this as well, I'm not saying someone can't tell me when I'm wrong, because I do want to be told. If I do something wrong, let me know when I'm wrong, you know, and I have no problem apologizing. If I hurt someone's feelings, and I'm not saying, I'm not saying I'm innocent, you know, I'm not playing that role, but I always try to have a certain level of respect for someone, even someone who's healthy, doesn't have to have a condition. It's still a level of respect, because people, you still don't know what they're going through in their personal life, and you just don't know how sensitive someone is. And everyone is built differently. And not everyone has that thick layer of skin where they can just brush something off and keep it moving. And I wish other people in this world knew that. And when it comes to myself, and I just always wonder, I'm like, what have I done to this person, you know? Or in just even recent years, I'm like, just this, it's a lot, but I'm like, this is the reason why the relationship is tarnished, and it's going to be even more tarnished because of the insensitivity. MS is not an asthma attack where we can go get an albuterol and pump it, and then my breathing is slowly going back to normal. I'm on an infusion that's painful in my arm every month of the year for once a month. I take medicine. I deal with an emotional battle from time to time. My body feels like it's under so much stress, and it is. So don't bring negativity to my world. Don't bring negativity to my life. Don't surround it within my space. If you want to have a conversation with someone who has MS and ask them a question, then ask it, but ask it respectfully. And if something is sensitive to someone, don't, and you know that it's sensitive to someone and they have this illness, just let it be, let it ride. And I'm gonna say this as well. You just have to let that curiosity, you just have to live with it for the rest of your life, no matter how much it burns in the back of your mind, because you don't know what that is going to trigger. And This and talking about this in this segment, insensitivity, I'm pretty sure everyone has dealt with that. Like I talked in my first segment, losing friends and pushing friends away, friends and family as well. But family, that's what I'm dealing with right now. It hurts the most when it comes from them, the absolute most when it comes from family. And you expect your family to just uplift you no matter what, you know. I don't I don't want to see my family members struggling with a bad. I don't wish this disease on my worst enemy. It's not an easy thing, you know, and just using worst enemy as a figure of speech, but that's true when I say that. I don't wish this on anyone. This is not something you can just walk through easily. So it's been so many days, as I said before, and I'm going to talk about this in another segment too as well, just having to push through. And at the end of the day, I give myself a pat on the back for that, because I'm like, I can make it. And that's inspiring myself, you know, and showing myself, dang, I sat through class with that. I walked up the street in all that pain. I still walk to the store, I still do what I have to do in this world. And and I'm trying to make it and make a better life for myself now that this illness is another thing that I have to battle. So I want to look at not the insensitivity, I want to look at the courage that I have within me, the strength that I have. And I always want to remember that until my dying day, that, oh, Chris pushed through all that he had to deal with that day with MS for now until 60 years from now. So dealing with insensitivity, to wrap this segment up, don't let it defeat you. Don't let it beat you. Don't let it eat you. You chew it up, spit it out, and remember what kind of courage that you have. Don't you ever fall into somebody else's ignorance. That's what I'm learning, and that's what I've learned. I thought I've learned it a long time ago, but I'm still learning it to this day at 22 years old. And I'm very proud of myself for how I handle situations now. And going forward, I always want you guys to remember we're in control of our lives. So when something is unhealthy, pull yourself out of the situation. You don't have to answer to anyone. You know your condition. You know how bad your body aches when a certain emotion is triggered. Pull yourself from the situation. And remember, I'm going to say this again. Remember that strength that you have, and you keep going. And remember, you are a big person within yourself, and you have a big heart. I want you to always remember that. And closing this segment, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Chris Carter, the MS Champion. You've just been listening to MS Champion Radio. Follow me at my social media, my awareness account. It's Young MS Warrior. Young is spelled regular. MS Warrior. And talk to me on there. Comment. We can have a conversation back and forth. I love talking to people. And again, Chris Carter, the MS Champion. You've just been listening to MS Champion Radio. Thank you, and see you next time in the next segment.